For Joan's work experience, after high school, I labored in a glass factory in the summers to help pay my way through college. Being unexpectedly ordered to put in a double shift from time to time motivated me to stay in school and get a good education. The title of Joan's speech is Bonnie's Lesson, and Joan would like to dedicate this speech to the master teacher in the room, Pelham, Andre's canine companion. Oh. Please help me welcome Joan Janis.
Look at this lineup of 3 lawyers we have right in a row. Isn't it a shame we don't have a statute of limitations on grief or guilt or stupidity? Toastmasters, this morning I'm going to start with an answer, conclude with a question, and in the middle I'd like to tell you a story that I hope will have you look at your life differently. The answer is no. No, I will not give up my guilt. I will not forgive myself. Because if I forgive myself, it's the same as saying what I did was okay. As if it never happened. I'm not going to do that. Here's the story. It happened 40 years ago, today as a matter of fact. And the morning broke so different than the one in Denver this morning. The sky was as blue as forever. The leaves were dangling in the trees and loving each other. The grass was green. I was a teenager on summer break, and my dog had just had puppies only a few weeks earlier. I was laying in the grass that morning with puppies crawling all over me, licking my face. I loved it. Have you ever had a puppy lick your face? Wasn't it a great feeling? Admit it, it was. I had the most wonderful time. Our whole family was together that day, my mom, dad, and my sister Chris and I. We were having fun, mostly playing with the puppies. Around lunchtime, we noticed that our dog Bonnie was missing. Now she was a black lab, just given birth to her puppies, wouldn't leave them, but where was she? Where did she go? We started looking, couldn't find her, but we were sure she would be back soon. Maybe she had taken off after a deer. Maybe she'd taken off after a squirrel. She was gone. Well, after lunch, we started to get a little bit more concerned and a little bit more concerned. Eventually, my sister and I took out on our bicycles to look for her. And we searched a myriad of locations. We did not find her. We cried. We started crying, thinking, maybe she's been hit by a car. Maybe someone took her. We lived out in the country, and it wasn't unusual to have your dog kidnapped. We were very upset. We came home, had dinner with our family, and my father decided he would get in his car and he would go ahead and look for the dog. Now I'd like to mention that one incident happened during the day that none of us understood. It was after lunch. We were standing in our yard and we had 4 kenneled dogs in their cages, and they went crazy. Suddenly they were barking and throwing themselves against the cage. They were very upset. They would not stop. They barked, and the foam came out of their mouths, and they barked until they were exhausted. And all 8 of our eyes stood in bewilderment looking at them. We scanned the landscape. We saw nothing. We couldn't see anything. We were bewildered. Later, my father had gone to the car and said he'll be back after he finds the dog. But he came back only a minute later. And he said, "Who locked my car? Who locked my car?" None of us locked your car. Why so angry? This is what really happened, and we didn't know it. Before lunch, my dad had asked me to go to his car and get the flashlight out of the glove compartment. And I did. I opened the passenger side door, I leaned in, I opened the glove compartment, I took out the flashlight, I shut the glove compartment, and I shut the door of the car. I didn't know that she'd gotten in the back seat. I didn't know. I didn't know. I killed her. My dad, when he got in the car, put his feet right on her. She was the one who had locked the car with her paws. And those dogs, going crazy like that, were trying to tell us that she was in the car. And that big Chrysler New Yorker that my dad had, with the quiet ride, would ensure that we didn't hear her barking, pleading for her life from inside that luxury vehicle. I used that incident, as a teenager would, to beat myself up, to feel guilt, to feel sorrow and grief, especially guilt. It wasn't until 20 years later that I was able to lay that guilt down. And this is Bonnie's lesson. I was telling a Buddhist from Boulder my story, just as I've told you. And the Buddhists have a different interpretation of life. They think we come back again and again and again and again. And if you have an infinite amount of lifetimes, so what if you change form? So what if a death, it doesn't mean what a final death means. It means you get to do it again. And that Buddhist from Boulder told me, you could interpret this differently. And that's my lesson to you. If you're holding any guilt, interpret it differently. What she told me was that that dog, Bonnie, had incarnated on the planet and come to me to teach me one of Buddha's greatest lessons, impermanence. Please, look into your own life. And if you have any guilt that you're carrying, if you have a sorrow that you have been unable to heal, find a new way to look at it. There is a new way to look at it. And if you find that new way, you can also find liberation.